brings you to this anti-vaccine rally?
Tony Abbott and Scott Morrison's proposed new law, which is going to begin in January, which means that parents are not going to get childcare subsidy for their children if they don't inject all 39 vaccines that are on the preschool schedule into them.
Oh, okay. And so you're against vaccinations?
Yes.
Like forcing them? Okay, and how come?
Because they cause a great amount of damage, which is not acknowledged by the medical establishment. And well, there are a number of reasons. One reason that a minority of non-vaccinating parents use for not vaccinating is that they want their children to get the developmental diseases like measles, mumps and chickenpox, because those diseases actually reduce the risk of chronic diseases like cancer and heart disease in later life.
Yeah. And did you have a bad experience with vaccines, or your children
My
did?
family did. My children are not vaccinated, but there's I know a lot of vaccine damaged people and one death.
Wow. And what do you think is the percentage of bad side effects to vaccines?
It's very hard to know. My guess, and it is a guess because the vaccination has been practiced for 215 years, and they have never tried to estimate the percentage of people who are damaged by vaccines. But my guess is that it's around about 5%, and 95% of children are fine. And in that 5%, they're not all severely, dramatically, badly damaged. It's just minor damage, but permanent damage.
And what about some serious damage? What percent do you think that is?
Who knows? They don't. Firstly, doctors don't report the damage to the TGA, and secondly, there's never been a study anywhere in the world that that tries to find out what the actual damage is.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that. Yeah. Okay, so what brings you to this vaccine rally?
Basically, I've done a lot of research into vaccines. I know the dangers, and to make this medical procedure enforced upon people is just unjust. It's unconstitutional, and that's one of the reasons. The other reasons I have children, I'm here speaking for them because they can't speak.
So they got harmed by vaccines?
Look, my first two children were fully vaccinated and were always sick, so no serious damage, but that's one of the big issues here is the pro-vaccine camp always want to talk about autism, but there's all the other autoimmune diseases that are on the spectrum, asthma, eczema, psoriasis, ear, nose, throat. So my kids were lucky they only really got sort of the eczema stuff. And my next 5 children, no vaccinations, no dramas.
So that your kids that weren't vaccinated at all were totally healthy?
The 2 that were vaccinated are always sick. The 5 that weren't vaccinated, my 14-year-old has never seen the inside of a doctor's surgery in her life. So I know it's a small sample, and but it's the same genetics, same environment, same food. I then started researching vaccines and realised that this is an inherently unsafe product. Millions of people are getting injured around the world every year, and to enforce that procedure on someone definitely needs consent.
Okay, all right, thanks for that.
No worries.
Okay, so we're here with the organiser of the event, Elizabeth. So what made you organise this event?
It touches close to home, this topic. The no jab, no pay policy affects me and my children, as I am studying at the moment. And if it comes into play, I won't be able to send my children to daycare because I technically wouldn't be able to afford it.
That's because you don't vaccinate your kids, right?
No, I do not vaccinate my kids. I gave them their first vaccinations, but I disagreed.
Why do you disagree?
Why do I disagree with vaccinations? When I was pregnant with my first child, I did a lot of research into, I guess, the ingredients in vaccinations, and just the general consensus of you have to do this. Why do I have to do this? That was probably one of my main questions, is why is it being pushed so hard? People would get aggressive over this topic, and I thought that it was something that if people are being so hostile about, it's probably something that I should look into to gain a better insight as to what vaccines were all about. I've always been quite protective over my children, and whether you're in the medical industry or not, I think that everyone has a right to know what is included in vaccines. I think that the pharmaceutical industry, there's a lot of people that are addicted to pharmaceutical medicine, and just like all other drugs, the vaccines are a drug as well, and I don't see the necessity for my children to be vaccinated, because I don't want them to have these diseases, no.
So you're concerned about the side effects?
Side effects are a definite concern. I've read up on people who have had adverse reactions. I've read up on children that have had adverse reactions. Side effects, it can be quite damaging. It can kill my children. It's something that...
But what percentage do you think get bad side effects from vaccines?
I can't give you a percentage because I'm not a doctor. I am a mother of my, but I couldn't give you a percentage with accuracy. So I can't really give that. But I do believe there was a sign being held earlier saying that vaccines were banned in Japan because 1 in 800 people were having adverse reactions. So it's a lot more common than what people would think, and they're just adverse reactions that have been reported. So we don't really know what kind of damage vaccines are doing in the short term or the long term, because that hasn't been studied. They haven't done proper studies, I believe, to look out for long-term reactions. So
you don't reckon it's not worth the risk with your children?
My children are perfectly healthy the way they are now. I'm not risking them to adverse reactions from vaccines because there's nothing wrong with them. They don't have these diseases. They aren't running around with whooping cough at the moment. They're running around natural, healthy children. The only times they ever really do get sick is when they attend daycare, and there's my family and another family that are unvaccinated. The rest are all vaccinated. So
the vaccinated kids are still getting sick?
Of course, all children are going to get sick, but unvaccinated children are at no higher risk of getting these diseases than what vaccinated children are. Vaccinated children can still get these diseases whether they're vaccinated or not. So I saw that as a risk I would take, considering they don't have them. I don't want to give that to them, whether it be in vaccine form or in natural form. But if they do get it, I'd rather them have their natural immunity rather than a vaccine immunity.
Okay, and so to young mothers out there, what would you recommend them to do with their child?
I think that every mother should go by their intuition. I think that if you want to vaccinate, then that's your choice. You know, you have a right to make that choice. That's what this rally today was about, is that we are having our rights taken away from us by being able to make that choice. So all mothers should always go with what they feel is the best thing for their child.
Not what the government says.
Exactly. The government should not be making those choices for any parents or any mother.
So it's a human right for a mother to be able to choose what she wants to do with her body or her child's body.
Yeah, exactly. It's a right that we get to choose what goes into our bodies or our children's bodies without financial coercion, without financial penalisation.
So do you think there is lots of money being made off vaccines?
If you look into people who create the vaccines I personally believe that there is a lot of money going into vaccines, whether it be donated or the government, the companies running it. They all seem to be quite wealthy. I personally haven't looked too much into the financial issues of vaccinations because I think I've heard a lot about it. I guess the finances for me, I just know that the pharmaceutical industry is quite a big industry, and it makes millions of dollars in profit every year. That's pretty much enough for me, knowing that the pharmaceutical industry and the vaccine industry and the vaccine research industry are connected. I know that they're connected, and if they're making money off that, then I would assume that they do make a lot of money, but I'm not someone who's. I have a tendency to look more into the health side of things. I know that they're profiting financially. As to how much, I couldn't be specific.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And is there any this last thing you'd like to say?
I just think Australia has the right to have freedom of choice. Every single person in this world has a right, and no rights should be penalised financially nor penalised in any other way. It's not something that we're not going against the law here. It's not illegal for us to not vaccinate, so we shouldn't be penalised for it.
Okay, thanks for that.